This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Save a Pooch on Pet Life Radio. I am your host, Beverly Isla. Thank you for tuning in to today's topic on how rescue dogs are really the ones that rescue us. Our amazing guests today really play a role in helping rescue dogs and other animals become the best version of what they can be. We have Penn Farthing, named the CNN Hero of the Year in 2014. He's also a former Royal Marine Sergeant, runs Nowzad charity, which is the first official animal shelter in Afghanistan. And they help rehome, treat, and rehabilitate dogs, as well as reunite them with the veterans who rescued them on the front lines. We also have Sandra, aka Sandy, and Anna, who runs Pets for Vets in New Brunswick, Canada. And they adopt some of the dogs rescued by Nowzad in Afghanistan, bring them to Canada, where they can be trained to be a service dog. So both organizations work hand in hand to provide a double contribution in helping rescue dogs, who in turn help veterans or those with PTSD, for example. So when we get back from these messages, Sandy, Anna, and Penn will join us.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. CATTREETRAY.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Save a Pooch. We are talking with Penn Farthing from the Nowzad charity and Sandy and Anna from Pets for Vets, New Brunswick. So thank you guys for taking the time today. This is a very meaningful topic. So I don't know who can explain this first, but what's your story in working with each other? How do your operations come together to fulfill a bigger mission or picture?
Well, I suppose I can start. I heard about Nowzad over social media, and we heard about Buddy, who was a dog that was rescued by an Australian soldier and brought to Nowzad for safekeeping. And he was there for about a year and was not being adopted. So an all-call went out over Nowzad over the internet about whether or not somebody could adopt this dog. And we decided that we could, because we were also adopting other dogs in Canada, and we have a big 100-acre farm in New Brunswick. So we adopt Buddy, and just a lovely dog. He's very independent. We already had a Buddy, so we renamed him Murphy. And he's a very long-legged white hound dog. They get a glorious winter fur, which is what he's got right now. They alert over anything. So if you can't stand a barking dog, you should not get one of these hound dogs. And in New Brunswick, we're affiliated with a base Gagetown Canadian Army base, and I see a lot of soldiers with PTSD. I'm a physician, and it just seemed to come together about getting these dogs. Dogs are fantastic for people with PTSD, and some of the Nowzad dogs were going to the U.S. to help soldiers with PTSD, and I thought perhaps we could bring them over here for our soldiers with PTSD. So we had met Penn in Pennsylvania, actually, and I asked him if we could get together and adopt these dogs and bring them over.
Oh, that's how you guys met in the U.S. I'm like, when were they in Afghanistan? And Anna, how did you fit in the picture here?
Supporting Sandra, doing the helping with reading and getting information and general support. And Also, one of the things that was important to us as well is getting the dogs to a safe place and just helping out in general and doing some training and things like that with the dogs. So Sandy's a big driver in the training field now and providing support right now.
That's amazing. Amazing. I haven't really talked to a lot of Canadian organizations, so I'm glad that you guys are out there in the East. I'm from Toronto, so I'm not too far away. So I'm glad that you guys are doing that. Penn, are you there, Penn?
Hello. Yeah, how you doing? Great to be on. Thanks very much.
Yeah. So I've read a little bit about your story, and I find it really fascinating. So maybe you can talk to us about when was that moment when you decided that you wanted to pair rescue dogs with the veterans? Like, I know you did some work abroad, so maybe you can get into that a bit.
Well, I mean, it all started from when I was actually serving as a Royal Marine Commando down in Helmand Province in Afghanistan back in 2006. And we were there on the ground. We weren't having it all our own way. The Taliban were keeping us busy most days. And for me, I was concentrating on that job of being a soldier in Afghanistan, and I never even thought remotely about animal welfare or anything like that until a problem came, and it was noted that sadly some of the Afghan police who were in our compound with us were actually organising dog fights. And they just get two feral dogs off the streets. Yeah, it's just two feral dogs off the streets, and because they're territorial, the dogs will want to obviously dominate each other. So these Afghan policemen would actually, use that as a sport, and they were making these two dogs fight, and there was no way I was just going to allow them to do that.
Whoa.
So thankfully our guns were bigger than theirs, so I jumped in, broke up the dog fight, and thought that was it. I didn't realise one of those dogs that had been used in the fight would actually run into our compound and hide himself away, and that's where I found him. And that dog, he was there, sadly, had his ears had been chopped off, his tail was missing, he had loads of scars on his face from the fight that he'd been made to take part in. And he just didn't like people at all. And I thought I had to get him out so that none of my soldiers got bitten. But in that process of trying to get him out, me and him actually bonded. He became, trustworthy. He would trust me. I think maybe because I had lots of military biscuits I kept feeding him. But, and then I realised that actually for the 5-10 minutes each day that I was sat with him, I was chilling out. And that was just something that wasn't normally happening in my daily routine. There wasn't any time to chill, but I could actually sit with this dog and just forget about Afghanistan and pretend I was somewhere else.
Wow.
And I think that's, from that moment on, I realised then, this connection and the power that these dogs have to actually help people like me at the time get through what I was dealing with. And then in the future, dogs helping soldiers as they come back to the countries, because obviously there's still a massive problem with soldiers coming back to the US and to Canada, and who are struggling to deal with everything they've seen and been through during these conflicts.
Oh, yeah.
And dogs have this amazing ability to be able to connect with those soldiers and help them get through that process. And that's how this whole journey that we're now on with Ollie and Sandy began, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Now, how do you even keep tabs of which soldiers that have finished their term and have come back to the U.S. or Canada and which dogs they actually hung out with over there? How do you keep tabs of that?
Yes, that part of it.
Yeah.
I would take being a Royal Marine Sergeant in Afghanistan being shot at over the administration that goes behind this organisation. I tell you, it's we've got a fabulous team. It's absolutely amazing, and I can't take credit for all the amazing things that have happened. It's our team who got there, and I really do want to also applaud our amazing Afghans, because Nowzad has as you said in your intro, the first ever shelter out in Afghanistan, but we also have the first ever animal clinic, and this animal clinic is actually manned by the first two female Afghan nationals who we've trained to be fully qualified veterinarians. And these girls, they're there every single day. They're helping with the soldiers to get in touch with us. They'll go through the Nowzad clinic. The dogs will come to us. They're vaccinated. They're neutered. And then from there, obviously, once we've fundraised, they'll then go to the soldiers who maybe have already adopted them while they've been on the front lines out in Afghanistan, or they've come to us and said, actually, we're back home now, but we'd like to adopt one of your dogs. We didn't have the opportunity while we're out in Afghanistan to look after a dog, but we'd like to make that connection now. And it's thanks to people like Sandy and Oni who are there in Canada who are helping us to help pair these up with soldiers. Because, I said, we can just do it on our own. We need this amazing team. And thankfully, Nowzad has got an amazing team of supporters out there worldwide who are making the difference.
That's amazing. I love hearing stories. Good for you, Penn and Sandy and Donna. So we're just going to have a quick break, and we'll continue with our topic of rescue dogs transforming into service dogs.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
My golden retriever, Sundance, is a lot more playful now. She has more pep and energy.
Tons of energy.
Happy the rescue dog is Happy the healthy dog.
Petey is having fun again. He's got a shiny coat and a good healthy weight.
Molly's been having 4 scoops a day. She pushes her little bowl all the way across the room, emptying every last single crumb. She has slimmed down and gotten this puppy look.
She's got life. She's got energy.
We get asked all the time when we're at shows, how do you get your dog so healthy and shiny and glossy?
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition. Just feed your dog right.
Do the Dinovite.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Save a Pooch. We are talking with Penn Farthing from Nowzad Charity, as well as Pets for Vets New Brunswick, who work hand in hand rescuing and rehabilitating rescue dogs. Thank you for your story, Penn. That's really amazing. And Sandy, maybe I'll turn it over to you. Now, with the dogs coming from Afghanistan and having to reintegrate into Canada's environment, do you receive feedback after they leave your organizations to their homes just to see like how they're transforming?
Yes, we're very involved with the soldiers and the people who get our... We're brand new at this, so we've rehomed one dog to a soldier and we've one dog to a civilian, and we know these people intimately. It's really hard to give up a dog. I don't know how people who bring dogs, who sell dogs, who breed dogs, seriously, I don't know how they give them up. So we're very in touch. These people are our families. And so the Afghan dogs are, at first, they alert on everything. They're always sniffing the wind. They can tell you what's, kilometers away. And I think if the soldier knows that the dog is sleeping, they can sleep. That's one of the best positives about having an Afghan dog to be your PTSD dog. If they're chilled, you can chill because they alert on anything. And at first they alert on a lot, and they love to chase birds, so you've got to have them on leashes. But after a while, they calm down, and they're not quite as chill as our own native dogs, but they're almost there.
Okay.
And they're very, very trainable, they're bright, and they're very independent. They're brilliant dogs and very loving. But that also makes them, you've got to watch them. Yeah, I could almost say stubborn. They're easy to train, but they have their own brain once they have something scented or sighted that they want to chase.
Right.
It's good to have them on a leash.
Good.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. Yeah, many times.
Oh yeah.
They're a very loyal dog too. I think having a Asian Shepherd, they're a very pack-oriented dog and very protective of that, and that's what makes them so alert as well, because they want to make sure that everything is safe and that whatever might be coming close is going to be alerted and not come any closer. So they're very loyal dogs too, and watchful. And our first 2 dogs from Afghanistan, Murphy, and then the second one that we had, his name was Blue, they would be on the front deck, head up, watching, nose smelling, and our local native rescues, the local rescues that we had, they'd be fast asleep lying in the grass in the sun and not paying attention to anything. But our Nowzad rescues, they were always alert and watching, and they do, like Sandra said, they do calm down and they become very loyal, and with training, they're very respondent, very good dogs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we were in Afghanistan just a week or so ago, and we were in a Pooch camp because we run projects there helping to reduce the stray dog population humanely by neutering and vaccinating against rabies, because there's a massive problem in Afghanistan where, sadly, over 1,000 Afghans a year are bitten by a rabid dog. and they died because there are no vaccines to combat that out in Afghanistan, whereas in Canada or America, you could actually get a vaccine, the next day and be fine.
Yeah.
And we were at this coochie camp, and it was amazing because there were some coochie dogs sat there, but they were surrounded by goats, sheep, and cows, and believe it or not, 2 little baby rabbits. And these dogs didn't bat an eyelid because their job, was to be there and protect all of that environment. And as soon as we rocked up, these dogs went absolutely berserk. Until one of the Afghan coochie men, told the dogs, to be quiet, it was okay. We were friends. And then the dogs just completely sat down and didn't even look at us again. And I was just like, oh, I want that training. That's amazing. Absolutely unbelievable. And these dogs just ignored us then for the rest of the day while we went about vaccinating the cows and doing everything else that we were there to do. And it was just somebody, he just said one word to these dogs and they just sat back down again, and then that was it. So as Sandy was saying there, they are just absolutely amazing dogs. And it's just such a shame that it's taken until now for there to be these animal welfare projects that are ongoing out in Afghanistan to make a difference for them. And I'm just so glad that we have that network of people who can help us to adopt some of these dogs out for loving forever homes.
Yeah, it's good to know that you guys exist out there. I didn't even know what was there to help out. But in that area, are there people? I know I'm a little bit ignorant, but how does it work there? Do they become, do the locals humanize them? Or are they mainly used for guard dogs once they're adopted? No.
Yeah, no. I mean, well, we actually run a program where we adopt out in Afghanistan as well, and things are completely changed. And there's a massive misconception about the Afghan people that the fact because of Islam, people believe that they don't like dogs, which couldn't be further from the truth. Religion has absolutely nothing to do with it. It's like walking in a street in America or Canada. I could walk down the road and ask 10 people and say, do you like dogs? And I could have 5 people say, yes, I do, and 5 people say, no, I don't. And it's exactly the same out in Afghanistan. And we now, 75% of the clientele now that comes to the Nowzad clinic are actually Afghan nationals bringing their dogs. We have this old gentleman, he's in his 70s, he's Afghan gentleman, doesn't speak a word of English, yet he comes into our clinic, he rides in an Afghan taxi, he opens the back door, and these 2 little chihuahuas jump out of the back of the taxi, they follow him into our clinic to get their health checks, and then when they're finished and we've vaccinated them, they just follow him back out, jump back into the taxi, and he takes them home. And talking to him via our staff, he absolutely adores these 2 little dogs. But under the rule of the Taliban, obviously 12 years ago, he was unable to keep dogs because it was a flogging offence to own a dog under the rule of the Taliban.
Really?
So now that people feel secure, I mean, and that's also something I think that maybe digressing a little bit, but people don't. I think that the message never got across over in Canada and America was why were troops out in Afghanistan? What did they achieve? But through the security that troops brought by being on the ground, that's allowed the Afghan people to actually go back to the kind of society they were before the Taliban took over, and that's allowed, and I know it's only tiny, but it's allowed those people, for example, who want to have dogs or cats as pets again to be able to do so. It allowed girls to go to school, which is something absolutely amazing and massive. And these girls who went to school, when the Taliban removed from power, are actually now, and 2 of them are now our female veterinarians because they were allowed to be educated. And that's down to American and Canadian and British troops who are on the ground who provided the security. So, in all, it's amazing things happening out in Afghanistan. And then it's just so amazing that we've got, Canadians, Sandy and Ollie there to actually help us to carry on that process. So our Afghan staff are now seeing that, what happens with their efforts. And the fact that now Canadians are being able to benefit from that, and especially soldiers. So it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that is so, I love hearing that. I love that, Pen. How often are you down there?
We go to Afghanistan, me and my other half, Hannah. We're out there probably about 6-7 times a year. So we just come back just about a week or so ago, and then I'm back out myself on the 2nd of January. So I absolutely love the place. It's an amazing country.
Yeah.
And it just helps when I'm sat there doing all the emails to actually then go out and play with the dogs afterwards. So, it's absolutely fabulous. And I've got a story to tell you, if not, because I'm not sure whether Sandy and I are going to actually stand up here and admit to the amazing thing they've done. But nearly 2 years ago now, I think it was, Sandy, I think if I'm right, with Wanda, that was 2 years ago, wasn't it? Almost a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, but myself and Hannah were actually out on Kabul on the streets, and we'd heard about this dog that apparently was in a drainage ditch. And this was the height of winter. It was January, probably 2015, I think. And we were, it was really, really cold. So we went out hunting for this dog. And we eventually came across this drainage ditch, which was about 2 foot deep, full of rubbish. And there was this little brown dog cuddled up against, the cold. And when we took a closer look, we could actually see this little puppy. And we were like, oh, my God, we've got to get her out. And obviously we weren't too sure, how she's going to react because she'd been out in the street. So, she might be a little bit aggressive towards people because she's had to, survive. But we jumped into this ditch to get her out. Oh, my God. She came straight over to us. Absolutely amazing. I could pick her up, got her out of the ditch. We got into the car with her puppy, took her back to the clinic. And that's where we realised she was actually suffering from glaucoma. So there was nothing we could do. She couldn't see anything. She basically looked after this puppy purely by smell. And she managed, this puppy was only, maybe 5-6 days old at the time. And so we obviously treated her. Sadly, we had to remove both her eyes, but that didn't stop her being this absolutely amazing mum. And we were obviously desperate then. Once, we'd had her a while and the pup was doing well, we wanted to find her a home. And Ollie and Sandy were like, yep, just send her to Canada. We'll look after her and we'll work with the pup and we'll get her trained. So absolutely amazing to those two for just standing up and volunteering straight off the bat to look after our dog. And wonder, she's doing absolutely amazing. I get lots of photographs of her out in the snow and she's chasing around after a pup which was named Barack, which is absolutely brilliant to see. And it just really makes this job so worthwhile when we have success stories like that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Whatever happened, what's her ending story, Sandy?
Wonder is I can't imagine how many litters that Wonder's had. She's had her eyes removed. We've considered her elderly. We have no idea how old she is. She just basically toddles around outside and either in the snow or in the grass. She loves our orchard and she finds her way around. She's got a little blinky collar. That's how we find her. And she finds her way back into the house. She just sleeps most of the day. And she's got some mammary tumors. They are cancerous, but the vet doesn't think that they've spread, and we excise them as they come up. And her daughter is being groomed to be our next PTSD dog. She's wonderful. Sirac is, oh my God, she's a delight. She's bold and she's a fast learner. I don't know if every now and then you hear a little ringing, but she's dinging the bells because she wants to go outside and play. And it's minus 14 here right now, and she's wanting to go out.
Wow, good for you, Sandy and Anna.
Yeah.
We're about to wrap up, so I'd like to ask all three of you, what is your guys' next step in your mission? You guys pretty much it's like a relay.
Ona wants to go to Cabell. Penn, by the way, he wants to come visit you. And he wants to pick out our next dog.
Well, you're absolutely more than welcome, Oni. Absolutely no problem with that.
Yeah, we would like to have a placement. We've got a few elderly dogs, so we're going down in numbers, and we'll have room for another young pup in the next year or so. We're not in any rush, and to find a nice pup that is friendly and calm and confident, just something like what Sirac is right now, and then be able to find a placement and match a soldier or match someone up with one of these dogs. That's sort of what I see where we're going next.
Great.
And also provide a place for the training and so on.
Awesome. Well, I hope that turns out for you.
Thank you for your interest.
Anytime. And I wish your clinic the best, and I hope that you get more veterinarians in there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's what we're looking forward to doing and promoting animal welfare, because from that single dog now we're looking after dogs, cats, cows, sheep, goats. We've also had the odd camel that's come by. And we've just opened the first,
You're
we've just opened the first
here.
ever donkey sanctuary, which is amazing. Working donkeys are just treated so badly out in Afghanistan. So we've now got 6 that are full-time residents who'll never have to work again and can live out their old age. So there's lots of possibilities happening out in Afghanistan, and it's exciting times.
Great. Well, I hope the best. And thank you, Penn, Sandy, and Anna, for talking to me, and our show producer, Mark Winter, for making this show possible. You can check out Nowzad's mission at www.nowzad.com. You can check out Pets for Vets New Brunswick on their Facebook page. If you have any comments, questions, or ideas for the show, please email me at beverly@petliferadio.com. So until next time, spread animal compassion.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.